Good afternoon. I mean, good morning.
Hello, Maria.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Pamela. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy.
How you doing?
Good.
Not too bad. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Great way to start a day.
Yeah, you're starting the day, I'm finishing it, and we have a very nice topic today, energy efficiency, isn't it?
Yeah, this will be really good to kind of go over something that's near and dear to Earth Day a few days ago, and everybody's talking about it from carbon footprint issues and things going on there. It's really a lot of opportunity to help organizations really get a handle on what this is. So it's a great topic.
Yeah. It's a great topic indeed. I agree with you. And this interesting thing is that many organizations yet to get familiarized with the standard and its purposes. So you guys know that we are often told that, oh yeah, energy efficiency is for the big companies only. It is not for us, which is not the case.
No, well, it's interesting because I think standards in general get kind of a bad rap sometimes because they think that it only applies to very large organizations that need to be railed in. And in fact, standards are really what drives common practice in business, and is the things that help you become effectively competitive and efficient. And so when you look at the standards that are in place around 50,001, for instance, which is the carbon footprint standard that we're talking about today, it really helps an organization want to identify and put in place processes that their entire organization can become aware of what they can do to ensure better energy management in everything that goes on in an organization, and how they can be looked at their organization as a responsible organization in trying to be conservative with those things and apply some logic in helping everybody understand what they do in their normal business every day that can, lead to a better consumption of energy and reduce the carbon footprint that organizations all leave. We all leave those things, right? So how do we get more efficient and help those things? So I think it applies in that sense to how organizations should be looking at this from an overall standpoint, not just a large company standpoint.
And Tracy, I completely agree with you. Something that a company organization might also want to consider regarding ISO 50001 is to manage their potential risks in the future. So that is a big thing, to where unless you have somebody that's forward thinking, that is a big benefit of this specific ISO 50001 and the certification around it.
Completely agree. I mean, ISO is, as an organization, was evolved around the whole concept of risk mitigation. So it employs across all of its standards the concept of how do we deal with risk in the business that is created because of situations and problems that we encounter, and how can we mitigate those in our use of our resources or in the impacts to their activities into the marketplace. Because a lot of things that will affect risk. And as we see the global warming issues are taking flight, different opinions, even not politically charged, but other things, we start seeing everybody has got some level of consciousness about carbon footprint management in their organizations. And I think it's really, it's good if you have a way of measuring those things, right? And so the great thing what standards do is provide a universal view of how to measure those things. How do you know whether you're really developing proper habits and characteristics in an organization if you don't know how to measure it? And this gives you that practice to do that. It gives you the tools to put in place, the opportunity to measure the things that you're doing to try to help and be effective in your management of your of your energy in your organization. So I see it as not just something that is for the bottom line of the business as the only motivator. I see it as being a good corporate citizen and a good contributor to society, and looking at these things and trying to determine what you can do as an organization to be viewed as having that kind of sensitivity and understanding about where you can have impact. Because if everybody does this and applies this sensibility, it has a great deal of will have a great deal of impact on the entire world operation, I think.
Absolutely. And also, the side of financial gain is you cut your monthly and annual expenses. So by having that measuring technique in place, you could actually potentially be saving your company, depending on the size, either thousands of dollars per year or hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, by being able to manage and cut your expenses for electricity, whatever it has to do with. And then the other benefit is they can increase their tax credit. I mean, their energy credits, which
Yes.
is huge. I mean, if you're only getting a small amount of credits now, by putting this specific ISO in place and this certification, you could actually potentially triple your energy credits.
Which is a great tool. It's a great effectiveness, and all those things will impact the organization both financially and perceptive wise. And so all of it hits the bottom line, right? It's how can companies improve on profits and what they can do to associate those things. And so when you reduce costs and gain credits applied after EBITDA to apply to your taxes and those things, has a great deal of interest to organizations across the country in different industries. It's kind of interesting because an area in which didn't first stick out to me as an industry that might be considering this, but I've subsequently been drawn into this through several opportunities that we're discussing today, but is the hotel industry. Very surprised to see, but very excited to see that the hotel industry is very much investing a lot of interest and understanding in what they can do to better manage their energy sources, which all affects everybody. Because if we're using more energy in each hotel, the process goes on where we're seeing where you're seeing more costs go up, and how do you become competitive and keeping costs down through all those actions that you need to take. And this gives them what the ISO standard does, again, is give you some best practice rules that you can follow and try to apply that have been tried and tested through a multitude of organizations that really bring a level of confidence to an organization and what they can achieve. And again, it's measurable. So you can actually see your results and measure what is needed to see there, so that you can report that back to your shareholders and your board and show your progress that you're making with measurable activities. And that's an important ingredient in all of these type of things.
It's very interesting, Tracy, that you mention these hotels, and I would just like to highlight a contract we recently developed with the university campus, where the university authorities had deployed renewable energy types, photovoltaics. And interestingly enough, they got cheaper energy. So students had benefit from heating in the winter, cooling in summer. As a result, windows wide open all the time. So here's an example of getting cheaper energy, but actually wasting much more energy, being far less efficient, from an energy point of view. And this is what the standard as well helps us manage our efficiency, because sometimes, because of growth, new production lines, etc., we need to use more energy. We're not going to use less if we produce more.
Right.
Well, we could use less, depends, but generally it involves some growth in the energy use. So the standard helps us optimize our efficiency, make it greener, make it cheaper, make it actually affordable, not only from money perspective, but also environmental perspective. It helps us being sustainable.
Very much. And what I like about it, as you're indicating what you just described, is what the standard does again is it gets everybody in your company involved, right? Some application activities become isolated. They become more siloed sometimes. But what we see with these type of standards is that it engages everybody in the organization, and it gives them the ability to feel like they're contributing because they're involved and they're communicating to the leadership how to help continue to improve on what they're doing, which is part of the legacy of what ISO does. So it really makes it
Absolutely.
a company commitment to to what gets done, and it's easy to apply, because when you get grassroots movement going in your own organization, people become conscientious, and just doing simple things can reduce the amount of energy that the company consumes, and ultimately the impact on the carbon footprint that company applies in their environment. So I think it's logical to assume that there isn't an organization that isn't in business today that shouldn't be looking at this standard as part of their core values in their organization. It's really no different to me than everybody's looking at information security issues that we all deal with every day as an organization, to protect your own IP, your own data, and your customers' data, to ensure and instill confidence in customers that way, or in the ability to run your organization with high confidence in a quality type operation. So there are some that are fairly universally applied, and I think this energy discussion is very much universally applied.
A couple of things that I like to input as well as when a company, small or large, organization, whatnot, is considering the expense for this ISO certification or any of the other ISO implementations and certifications, it is a tax deductible event. So I say, in essence, it costs a company nothing to put this type of ISO standard in place. Because of research and development tax credits, it's a dollar for dollar credit. So just for example, if they spend $30,000 putting this in place, and that's just an arbitrary number, but if they spend that amount of money, they get to write off $30,000 against their income, deduct it from their income for this calendar year of 2022. So that in itself, it's basically paid for, costs the company nothing. And then the other thing too is Harvard studies have actually shown for every dollar that a company and organization spends in this category, they see a minimum of a $6 to $16 return on investment. So by having this stamp on your website will actually bring in business for you. It shows that you are an environmentally conscious organization. And some people just look to do business with companies that have this type of specific ISO certification on their website. So it levels up an organization from where they are up above their competitors, and at the same time saves them on monthly and annual expenses, energy expenses that they're spending money on.
Great point, Pamela. Moreover,
Yeah.
Moreover, many organizations actually conduct already energy reviews. An energy review is an image, static image of the company's status at a given time or period of time. So organizations already do it. Organizations already collect data. Why not going a step further, implementing an ISO compliance system which allows us to be dynamic, to go much further and actually know what to do with our already existing data, with our already existing images of what we have in-house. Let's make it work for us. Let's
Yeah.
make it bring in money.
So I think what's interesting. I think when people look sometimes at a standard management system like this, they think it's going to drive a whole bunch of change in the way they operate, and ultimately, this particular standard doesn't necessarily drive a bunch of change that isn't at the willingness of the organization. It will do exactly what you said, Maria, and that's it will identify and help you identify areas in which you can work on improvements and how you can take and apply that to your organization. And again, it's even little things that you might want to do over a period of time, right? Where simple things like just turning the coffee pot off at night, for instance, and to save the electricity running into it. And I mean, very simple things that can go on. There are a lot of things that can be identified on how you would do that and what that measurement is if the organization applies that. So I think it's excellent to give a shout out to the process of what we're talking about here, and the fact there's economic value to the business, there is social value to the business, and there is real impact that the business can have in the environment, and it opens up more discussion points from a business to business competency in getting and attracting new clients. So I haven't really found a downside to this yet. And I think everybody should be reaching out and finding out what this would take to actually apply to their environment. I can't imagine why somebody would not want to put this in, because it won't change a lot of what you're already doing, especially as you identified, Maria. Some people are already doing some of this, and this simply helps put more emphasis on it and a way to measure it in a universal fashion that can be compared to other organizations, for instance, that you can apply. And I think it's a fascinating idea.
Yeah, and the ISO approach applies the timing cycle, as you know, the PDC cycle, which is plan what you will be doing, do it, check how it is done, and act upon any deviations or opportunities for improvement. And that's actually quite a simple principle. Do what you say what you do, try to improve every single time you find an opportunity for improvement. This is how it works. It has been working for decades now. It's going to work with this standard as well, and we are all going to help the environment and reduce our impact on the environment. Why not by implementing 50001?
Yeah, I love it. This is a great conversation. It's very complementary to existing standards. So if anybody has another ISO installed, they're already going to understand the framework of what this brings to the table. This is just an extension of that framework into specific areas that talk about how do you handle your energy management. So it's very exciting that we get the opportunity today to communicate this out to our community, and look forward to more conversations. We're seeing an uptick in interest in this by a number of organizations, and we'd love to have an opportunity to speak to anybody about the virtues of what it is, how long it would take to put this in, and get you up and going in 2022 with a wonderful contribution to the world value system.
One of the things that I always like to say to companies and organizations that are considering an ISO certification is that it's not as daunting as they may think it is. And the reason why I say that is because with the hand-holding process of our assessors, that in this case would be ISO 50001 certified, they hold your hand, they walk you through the entire process. It's completely customized for your organization, although they know exactly what they need to have you implement for each one of the clauses for the standard of 50001. So it's a not as daunting as one may think, because of the fact that they have an assessor that's certified in this area to be able to handhold them and provide every piece of documentation that they don't have. So that's in place, and to help them improve their SOPs in this specific area of energy. So I always say you don't know what you don't know unless you actually investigate and do some research. And once you research and find out how much you are spending and expending in a specific category, whether it be your gas or your electric or your throwawayable like type materials, unless you actually go in and do research within your own organization, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And this allows you to have that entire picture right before your eyes. So you do, and you will have assistance with our assessor in being able to cut in this area, cut in this area. And a lot of people have no idea what they're expending in energy. They don't, because they don't even do the research within their own firm.
Yeah, it's
great point, Pamela.
Yeah.
I always ask customers and people I generally talk to think about something very, very simple. This standard is actually, I insist very much on it, is applicable irrespective of the quantity, use, or type of energy you consume.
Right.
So don't say we're too small.
Right.
No, you're not. You're not too small for that standard. On the contrary.
Yes, and this is what I think is the message I want to leave with today, and that is that there isn't an organization too small that shouldn't be thinking about this as part of their corporate value system and what they can do to contribute, because it's very simple to apply this standard and begin to contribute, even in the smallest ways, will have a big impact with everybody out there doing this. Absolutely. So it's a very simple thing to look at and evaluate pretty quickly, and know that if you execute this, that you're going to have an impact that is recognized by the world. That's a huge difference to me. That's something that everybody can go to sleep at night, not with great level of consciousness, and have a good night's sleep by doing that kind of thing, because they're all contributing to the ability of the world to get better.
Absolutely.
Regardless of your political beliefs and all this, the whole issue is you're going to get better, because it makes you look at energy in a way that is not malleable, and allows you to be in a position where you can have control of what you are doing as an organization around your energy. And that's a really good position to be in as a business owner, is knowing how your people and your organization is working that way, and what you can do to adjust it as you go along. It's a beautiful spot to be in, I think.
Yes, and I can tell you, I owned my own business for 19 years, and full outside staff, inside staff, on the West Coast, 7 states. And this is an area that I actually never even considered. So in 19 years, if I could go back into time and cut my expenses with a 24,000 square foot building and staff and just everything that goes along with that, I would have loved to have saved money if I knew about this back then.
Yeah, that's the beauty of what we're trying to do today, is open this up as a general discussion to get people interested, to have a further discussion. And some people may find that they're not ready for it, but it's good to at least have a consciousness around it and know where we can apply this. And so I'm excited that we had the opportunity today to bring that to everybody's attention.
I always say knowledge is power.
There you go. There you go. I love it.
This is it. So guys, thank you very much for joining me today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Work hard. Talk to people, making them understand how important ISO standards may be to them and their businesses. And I hope I'll see you very soon. We have something this week, haven't we? On Thursday this week, on next week, a nice workshop on 9001. So everyone's invited to join us live to resolve some real audit scenarios quickly. So, we have a question before.
Can ISO 50001 be used with other standards like 9001 and 45001? Yes, the answer to that is
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Niria. Thank you for the question. The standard can be used independently or be aligned or integrated with other management systems such as 9001, 45001, 27001, etc. So it could be a part of an integrated system as well as implemented independently. Yes. So, marketing, do we have any further questions?
Hi, that's it. That was the only question that came through, Maria.
Well, we answered that question, so shall we say bye to our public and
Thanks very much for
let them go. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And we look forward to companies contacting IMSM.com for ISO 50001 certification.
Thank you, Pamela.